Welcome back for another episode of Better Decisions podcast. I'm sitting here with a guest, Orlando Montiel. Orlando, I've known for many years, and I'm sure watching this, many of you will recognize him. He is a real estate coach, financial advisor. You own a real estate investment firm. You've got your fingers in a lot of pies, and you're involved obviously in a TV. You have an active radio show.
Radio show and the TV show with Univision, more than 14 years already.
Wow.
More than 14 years.
So
talking about personal finance.
So this is a man who's out there in the market, and what we're going to do now for the next however much time we can get out of him.
Whatever time, man. I'm here with you, David. So
thank you.
We go together here, and as much as value we can provide your listeners, I'll be happy to.
Perfect. So get ready, guys. This is going to be a fun ride. So let's start at the beginning. I think we want to give a bit of backstory to you. I've obviously done my research on you and looking through your notes, and a lot I didn't actually know about you. So you were originally born in Caracas, Venezuela. Right. You came to the US when you were around 17 years old.
17 years old. A baby.
A kid, a mere kid. You moved to Boston.
Yes. Super nice city. Amazing.
And then you got your degree at Babson College, and then transferred to FIU.
I finished in FIU. You actually
finished in FIU. Take us from there, from the early days, shorthand version of what the journey has been, and then we're going to start firing questions at you.
Very quick, in 30 seconds. It was an amazing experience. My family was able to provide to me to go to Boston. Being from Venezuela, tropical weather, and then getting to Boston and running from one building to the other in Babson because it was so cold, and looking at this American girls in the grass just getting sun. I couldn't believe it, right? Amazing years in that city. The relationships that I built, that I developed with people from so many countries was incredible. Then I moved to Miami, my favorite city, and here I am. 29 years later, man. 29 years later, I went through financial hardships in the past, in my 20s, early 20s, and that shaped my passion today, which is personal finance and making sure that we as Hispanics change our financial tree and the wrong perception of what it is to have financial peace. So through your own businesses, right?
Yeah, when you get into, and again, personal finance is a big anchor in your business, and there's so many facets to it. But let's start with the personal finance, because I find it interesting. We're all trying to look for the right moves. We're all trying to make the right chess moves in life, and real estate's a big part in knowing when to move, how to move, and what to do. And I would love you to share with everyone. I mean, you've run 170 seminars. You're running events every week. You're traveling all over the country. You're talking to thousands of people. What are the anchors that you're telling people about your personal finance, growing your wealth with real estate?
Yeah, it's not about how many millions you have, right? It's about, to me, financial peace. The definition of financial peace is when your passive income or semi-passive income, right, covers your monthly expenses.
Okay, say that again.
So very simple. It's when your passive income from different investments.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be real estate. So I'm not advocating real estate or the stock market, whatever you feel passionate for, whatever you understand.
Yes.
Right? So when your passive income, what is passive income, right? It's the money you keep getting once you've done the work once. One more time. Passive income is the money you keep getting once you've done the work once, right? So profits are not the same thing as wages or commissions,
for sure.
Right? Every time you sell a home, which is amazing, and we want to keep selling homes, but next day you start from zero. But when you buy a rental property, right, you do the work once, and every month you get paid.
Of course.
Again, real estate is not the only way.
Sure.
So my job and my passion in those seminars is to make sure that through your businesses, by the way, through marketing and selling, your business, you start developing a real business that allows you to have that passive income. Meaning a business where you don't have to be involved in a day-to-day basis and it still generates income for you.
Yeah.
And the moment that income exceeds your monthly expenses, that's my definition of financial peace.
Absolutely.
You might have $20 million in the bank that you inherit from the family. but you can run out of those $20 million this
you can
easily,
plow through
especially right here in Miami.
Yes.
That's not financial peace, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is the thing. Obviously, my passion, my enjoyment is it happens to be real estate. That's why we
which
have
is amazing. Which is amazing.
Which is why we have this podcast. And if you're watching this, it's probably your passion too. There's a good chance you're more into it. Otherwise, you might be watching a podcast about the stock market or crypto or whatever else other asset class you're into. Personally, for me, it's been real estate because I just find it easier to understand. I find it easier to navigate the waters of real estate than I have been able to. And I've lost money in the stock market as a result. And moving forward, especially being in a city like Miami, I find that there are huge opportunities. Now, going out there, we have investors come in every single day.
Absolutely.
One of the buckets of investors, obviously for the last couple of years, has been that North American buyer, the people coming in from New York, California, Chicago.
Over 51%.
Huge numbers, 51%. But there's also historically been a huge amount of migratory wealth coming in from the South American countries. My wife is from Brazil. I've seen that migration. I've seen their currency inflations. I've seen the strategic moves. You talk a lot about that. You mentioned earlier on about that migratory wealth and that money that comes from South America and how poignantly you're able to communicate with that audience. Can you expand on that and what you've seen?
Yeah, sure. From South America, the number one reason they want to move their capital from the South to the United States, it's basically they want to dollarize their capital, right? Because of depreciation, inflation, the country, right? So we see that happening over and over and over again. Now, talking about real estate in Florida, what we see now, it's a migration of domestic buyers because of the taxes, because of the geographic location we have in Miami. And that's why we have such an ever-increasing market in terms of prices. But from South America, it's always for political moves, social move. They want to protect their capital. That's simple. And that has never stopped. Never, never, never.
Yeah.
Right? You have a little bit of a dip when there's an election in Brazil or in Colombia, and they contract a little bit for a couple of months, and then it's an explosion of buyers again in South Florida.
Where do you think we are right now? I mean, talking about current issues, because obviously most of this information, people are aware of the migratory wealth coming into Miami over the last 20 years or more, much more. But right now, this moment, we've seen like the economic bell curves, we've seen the boom as people come in. Where do you see we are right now with the buyers coming in from South America? And where do you see it going in the next couple of years?
You see the market in South Florida?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to mention one for the viewers, one single KPI, or one single statistic that shows you that prices might go down. Foreign investment, going up or down? Going up.
Yeah.
All right. Domestic buyers from California, from New York, those states that have gazillions of dollars and multi-billionaires, right, coming to Miami. The tax advantages we have, the business benefits they offer, the state of Florida offers to those buyers is tremendous. The geographical location we have in Miami, the lack of inventory we have right now, and
which is still true.
Which is still true. So I don't see any indicator that tells me that prices will stabilize or go down. I just don't. I haven't found any. In South Florida.
Yeah, so I studied this really, really closely.
And statistic even better than me. I mean, that's what you do every single day.
I'll let you know. I'm on this, and this year, now, look, we've had one hell of a run. And I see that within our markets, you've got subsectors, and I talk about this all the time, that you have the $10 million buyers being driven by a very different set of directors to $1 million buyer. Yeah. But the market, we've had a great run. There are markets now where we're starting to see inventory rise. We're starting to see things slow down. But slowing down from 220 miles an hour is still 80. You're still traveling fast.
Very fast. Try to buy a home right now in the $1 to $3 million range.
That's the point. I have many buyers come to me right now, and we're sitting in the end of May, and people have come to me and said, and I've had this active conversation. I think I'm going to wait because I think now the market's going to soften. Interest rates are super high. We're going to have more deals come up in the market, and I'm going to wait for a quote unquote better deal.
So let's look at the numbers, right? So let's say interest rates go down 2%, right? how much are you going to save compared of the increase in price you will have 6 to 12 months from now if you wait? Yeah. The interest rate might go down, but the price of the property is going to be much higher. Yeah. According to the statistics.
Well, we always say, right? you marry the house, you date the mortgage.
You can always refinance 2 to 3 years from now. Yes. So if you find the house, and it's not only about the money, and we were talking about this before we started the podcast, you not only buy the house for the price, you also buy the house, if that's the place where you're going to live, right, for the emotional well-being of your family, right?
This is an interesting one. So there's a very big difference, and I think we can clearly draw a line in the sand between the investors who are out there to, let's say, put your money in the dollar, South American buyers or other people coming in, 1031 exchanges. And given the fact that if you look in the US right now, major cities, whether it's Phoenix, San Francisco, Austin, they've been dropping somewhere between 10 and 17% this year in the values of their properties. Miami, there's small softenings, very small softenings in some markets, but other markets are still very, very strong and stable. But the end user living in Miami, buying in Miami for a large number of people is not just an investment move, it's a primary move. And you were alluding to your experience when you bought your house and you said, I didn't negotiate.
I just bought a house literally 3 months ago. And it was my daughter's dream house, right? To me, and I didn't negotiate. As a matter of fact, I don't like to negotiate on the houses that I'm going to live. And I usually pay $50,000, $75,000 overpriced to secure the contract, right? I'm not interested on saving $50,000, $75,000.
So as a guy,
I'm interested on my daughter, right, and my wife, and you see the dynamic in the new house. It's you can't put a price on that, right? Now, if it is an investment, it's very simple. This is the return I'm expecting, and if I don't get the return, that's okay. I'll keep looking. But if this is the house that I'm going to live, I'm not negotiate. By the way, that's only my opinion. Some people might say I negotiate everything, right? Okay, but in my case. To me, there is way more value in the emotional aspect of my family in the house where we're living.
We talked about long-term views, and I think that this comes down. I agree with you, by the way. I mean, I view the same way with my own personal house, with my family. Yes, I could financially make a better decision by selling the home and pocketing some money and then buying something else. But would I actually enjoy my time more? Because my time is my assets, the most valuable thing.
That's a key point. Instead of trying to negotiate $50,000, $70,000, $100,000, then looking for another house because you lost that deal and you have to wait 3 more months and you have to keep looking at properties and making appointments. That time, I'd rather invest it in my business where I'm going to not only make up on that difference, but I'm going to multiply way bigger than those $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 that I might negotiate. It's not worth it. In 100%. My case, I'm just saying, and some people's case, and some people would see it different, and I understand.
Yeah, if you are young, and I think this is something that I feel, if you're young and you're in your 20s and you're saying, okay, I've got more of the time on my hands, and let's say you're wealthy enough that you can afford a substantial piece of real estate as your primary residence and that you're even buying and not renting, then I can understand saying, okay, I'm going to make strategic plays here. But we're the same age, and I know a lot of my clients who are buying really expensive real estate. The time is the asset. Don't negotiate with your time.
Right.
I don't want the delayed gratification of to wait 2-3 years to get my dream house.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. Right. And that's, I think, why there is a big premium for that type of real estate. Now, you own a lot of investment property. You own
before you go into the properties, okay. I wanna say something which is very important. In every single seminar that I do, and I do one live every other week, I talk about negotiating skills, right? And I ask all the attendees to negotiate every single day. We have so many opportunities to learn to negotiate. You ask the average person, how good of a negotiator you think you are? And say, no, I'm an amazing negotiator. Say, how many times a day do you practice negotiating, right? Because it's a skill. Got it? Yes. So what happens is I'm asking you, I go to a restaurant, I even negotiate having a coffee for free. It's just practice. It's the way I use my tonality, the way I look at the person.
Starbucks must love you.
Yeah, no. And the way I frame the question, it's just it's an exercise that I'm doing every single day. Now, I'll give you more of that free coffee in the tip. It's not about saving the money. It's about me practicing every single day how to negotiate. Again, how to frame in the question, how to look at the person's eyes, how to feel that person. Yeah. Because when it's time to negotiate big things, I'm already warm up. I already have the practice. Remember, one of the biggest costs we have, especially as real estate professionals, is that we don't practice enough. I ask real estate agents, how many times a day do you practice during the week? And people go like, how many times you practice these 5 things, right? Pre-qualifying, following up, presenting, handling objections, and closing. How many times a week? By the way, how many people do you practice every single day? So in my groups, what we do is we rotate all those agents. They practice with one agent 1 week, and then the following week they practice with the next agent. So we work in quarters, right? Every 7 days we have a method it's called 87D. We execute for 87 days, and we get together in those retreats, which you're going to be speaking as one of our main speakers. And it's a 3-day event where we plan the next quarter, right? We identify the financial goal. Once we identify the financial goal, then we identify how many transactions we need to get there, and then we attach the strategy and activities to that goal. Got it? Yep. And then we execute as a group, right, for those 87 days. But we need to practice. One of the biggest costs real estate agents, sales professionals have is that they don't practice on a daily basis. So when you go to a restaurant, when you go to you take a flight, right? You negotiate an upgrade. For example, when you go to a hotel, you negotiate an upgrade to a better suite, to a better floor, to a better view. Every single day, you can always give the tip back. It's not about the money. It's about practicing every single day the art of negotiating. So when it is time to negotiate a big purchase or a big deal, you're prepared.
And if for those realtors and other people who are out there, for anyone who's negotiating, and again, when we're helping our clients buy real estate, if I am helping a buyer on one side, I have a saying with negotiations, which is, if I don't like the answer, it's probably because you don't understand the question. And I need to explain it better. Right. And I find that a lot of it is the communication, that sharpening of your sword, that leaning into these uncomfortable situations, which is something that I think
which make it comfortable. So if you feel uncomfortable, right, asking for a free coffee, a free tea, a free dessert, right, how are you going to feel comfortable negotiating a $100,000 price reduction with your seller, right? Yeah. Or negotiating for your buyer. You're not used to that environment.
Yeah. Or $1 million off an asking price, or $500,000, or whatever it might be. And again, it's a process.
So the question again is, how often are you practicing? If you are not practicing, and I say this, if you are not practicing with another agent, you're practicing with your clients.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Well, I'll tell you, if you want to negotiate and you want to practice well negotiate, have kids.
My
kids are the best negotiators on the planet, because and I learned this when I used to be a sports agent. I used to work at IMG, and I learned this. Mark McCormack was my boss, and he told me, "Who do you think the best negotiators are in the world?" And I was trying to think of a head of industry or some titan of business. And he said, your kids, because they have one objective. They have complete focus and time on what they want.
That's it.
And they know their subject better than anyone else.
Exactly.
And they know what they want. All your triggers. They know what they want.
Exactly.
And they can be ruthless at it. And they are persistent. They will just hammer you down. But they will come up with different directions. And again, that's the creative part of it. Again,
here's the thing. They don't have those taboos that adults have, right? No. How am I going to ask for a discount in this hotel, a discount in this restaurant? Oh my, what are they going to think about me, right? So all those things prevent you from becoming a better sales professional. And that's key, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you ask my kids, are you fearful about negotiating with your dad? No.
Absolutely
They're like, no, he should be fearful.
Exactly.
Great point. Love that. So, as we started off that part of the dialogue talking about your primary property and being aware of time and being aware of that it's, there's some things that you don't negotiate with because the value of them is too high for the quality of your life. When it comes to investments, and I started to mention this, you have, it was amazing, I didn't know this, you own 992 doors, which in real estate terms means there's 992 properties that have a door that you own. Right. And tell me about, because a lot of people are starting and people come to me all the time with investment advice. How did that start? And how do you sustain 992 doors and the whole process of how you look at this to accumulate that?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not how. The question is always who. And I was mentioning to you that my coach, and I got to give credit to Dan Sullivan, who wrote a book, many books. He writes a book every single quarter. Every 90 days, he writes a new book. All right?
That's incredible.
So one of my favorite ones is it's a principle he has, which is, it's not how, but who. Please go to Amazon right now and get that book. I highly recommend every single person watching.
Millie, go buy that from me on Amazon.
I highly recommend that.
Thank you.
All right? Which is, whatever you want to accomplish, it's not about asking yourself, how do I learn? How do I do this? It's who has done this before, and how can that person help me? So we mentioned three costs, right? We mentioned already one. There are three big costs in our life. The second one we already mentioned, which is the cost of not practicing enough. You should be practicing every single day your presentation, your objections, your close every single day, at least 3 times a day, early in the morning, 10 times, in the afternoon, and then at night. So you're ready. The biggest cost we have is ignorance, right? So why go through the hassle of me becoming an expert by myself when there are so many who's that have done who's been through the process? So if you want to become a real estate investor, who is a real estate investor? Who can I pay $30, $40, $50, or $150 if I'm just getting started? Who can I pay that can teach me what they've done, that can teach me the road to where I want to go? It's that simple. So it's not about how many properties you have. It's not about how much money you have in the bank. It's
who do you align with?
Who you align with. And that's why what we call in the fourth C in C5 is the community, right? Your environment will shape who you become, the conversations you entertain. So who are you spending most of your time with? If you are in shape, it's mostly because you're with people that are in shape, right? If you don't drink, it's because you don't hang out around with people that don't drink. But if you do, what's going to happen? You're going to drink, right? Yep. If you are with people that are, going out with other women, eventually what's going to happen? You're going to end up going out with other women. It's just the nature. Yeah. So to me, the most important thing is who I surround myself with. This type of conversation.
So C5 as your business, as it pertains to one of your businesses, this is the environment for people who are focused and interested in investments to be around other people?
Those mostly, we have 2,300 real estate agents that want to become professional salespeople and develop a real estate business. That's C5.
Mm-hmm. Right? Okay, that's a different. But
and that's where we focus the most. Developing entrepreneurs. To me, that's my passion. Yeah. Real estate is good. It's an investment. At the end of the day, it's cash flow. At the end of the day, it's passive income. But to me, the most important, my passion has always been teaching personal finance and another. How do I get that income, right? Through marketing and selling. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we are all in the business. And I say, you're not in the business of real estate. If you're a real estate agent, you're in the business of marketing. Yeah. Most people think they're real estate agents when they are actually secret agents.
Yeah. I mean, we had this when you did the podcast. Right. When we did the podcast, when you were interviewing me, and I say that David Siddon's group is not a real estate company. We're a communications company that happens to sell real estate.
There you go.
Which is for more key. And again, the whole part of the communications company is to align people who communicate well, who have trodden the path that you want to tread. Whether it is an investor that I've worked with for a decade, or whether it's a family that I've helped buy and sell real estate continuously over the years through different neighborhoods, my territory managers who understand all these different neighborhoods and subsections of neighborhoods, we have traded. I call them traded because it's kind of like we do it with a calculated measure when we're helping people buy and sell real estate. Thousands of properties, and I'm not saying I'm omnipotent, but we've seen a thing or two, and we will just simply share with you the experiences that those buyers have been through on their journey to make a better decision for them. And then we start to understand the patterns, which is why writing is so important, which is why our articles now are originally started as a blog website, because we just wanted to regurgitate our stories. Mm-hmm. Tell everyone what we'd seen and what was going on at that moment and what we thought was then going to happen based off the fact of the behavior that we were seeing in the market at that moment. For those who are looking to invest, obviously, we use a lot of data and information in there, but you expand on your people who will come to you to grow their wealth, to grow their as you put it, cash flow base. And coming back into the 999 doors, you said to me earlier on, my focus is cash flow base. Expand on cash flow base for those who may say, okay, how should I be measuring the success of the real estate I buy? How do you measure it?
To me, and some people measure in terms of appreciation. I measure in terms of cash flow.
Okay.
Right? So it doesn't mean that appreciation, it doesn't mean that I don't value appreciation, but I can control appreciation as much as I can control cash flow. If you buy a property today, you know that in 30 days, 45 days, you're going to have X number of dollars coming into your bank account. And whether that property appreciates or not in the future, you still have that cash flow. And most likely, that cash flow is going to be higher, whether that property goes down in value or not.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate, because back in 2007, there were people who come in and say, I'm going to buy properties, I'm going to rent them out based off what the current rental returns were looking like. They got leverage, they bought real estate, and then obviously the value of the asset just plummeted and the rental numbers plummeted as well. Obviously, when you're weighing up, if you look at long-term view, and again, I think the people who got unstuck had a very narrow view.
And they were very leveraged.
Very leveraged for a tiny, tiny window.
Right.
Which is like any asset class. If you want to get in the stock market today and be out by Friday, there's a very good chance that you're going to lose. And anyone investing in any asset class will tell you, you have to take a long-term view of things. You take that long-term view because you were explaining earlier that over a long period of time, the probability of that asset going up in value, historically 20, 30 years.
Which I still don't even think about ever selling a property. Because to me, the value is not in cashing out. To me, the value is in the monthly cash flow.
Yeah.
Financial piece is all about having that recruiting income. Okay, every month, whether you work or not, you still have your expenses covered.
Yeah.
That gives you a lot of freedom. Not only to go and be on vacation or in the beach. No, to go and study, to go into mastermind groups, to do this. I couldn't do this if I had to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? To explore other interests. So cash flow to me is the most important thing. Listen, I might have bought a property that appreciated, let's say $100,000. I can't touch that money unless I sell the property.
Yeah.
Right? But I can touch every single month my monthly cash flow.
And the interesting, the sticker price or the value of the door of each door, we're not talking about individual doors that are worth $5-10 million. You're talking about like multi-family, small stuff.
Yeah, those are small. But by the way, and some people say, well, that's only $150 or $200. It's not the amount of money you get from a passive income investment, which, by the way, it can be real estate, it can be anything else. It can be a real estate team. You have a real estate team, and when some of your agents sell a property, you get a piece of it. But it's not about the amount. It's how you get that money. One more time. It's not about the amount. It's about how much effort you put into getting that money.
Yeah. And that's what the people say, I want to go to bed at night and I want to make money while I sleep. Because it doesn't get much more passive when you're asleep.
Right.
Because you're not doing anything.
By the way, it can be also with your own business. And when people ask me on TV, I've been doing this program for 14 years in Univision.
Yeah, and this we'll get into because I think your pedigree on that speaks for itself.
But they ask, okay, what's the number one investment that you recommend? I said, the best investment in the world is investing in your own education. If you want to go into real estate, before you buy a single door, if you want to go into the stock market, before you buy one single piece of stock, of share from a company, invest in a course with somebody that has a proven record first. That's the biggest investment. You attend some people. Do you know how many people come to me, and I'm sure they go to you to say, I got $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. Where do you think I should put that money? What's your passion? And hire somebody that has walked that road before.
Yeah. Compounding is a conversation that people have in terms of growing your wealth and how to kind of grow it and multiply it. And over the years, you take a very long-term view. And I think I'm just, expanding on what you said with the properties that you own, the cash flow that it gives you, that gives you this passive income that allows you to do what you want. It gives you the freedom to do what you want. I think if you're watching this, the whole idea is to be quite clear, we're not running this podcast because I'm looking to get some particular kind of financial upside out of this. I'm not thinking, okay, someone's going to watch this and say they're going to call me and say, okay, I want to buy this piece of real estate and I make commission. I do this because I like doing it. I do it because I like the journey of education and I want to evolve and I want to help other people evolve in the process. And that to me means it's not work. This is fun. This is like, whether I get paid to do this or not, I enjoy this. This helps me personally. But the cash flow element was that element of freedom. And I've got on here on my notes, you talked about that freedom, that money, time, relationships. Expand on that, because I think that when you're trying to figure out the decisions to make for investing, and obviously we're talking about real estate, expand on that of what you teach your audience, the money, time, relationship.
Yeah.
piece.
So again, that's not a concept for me. I gotta give credit to my coach, Dan Sullivan. He talks about 4 different freedoms, right? And the first freedom is the money freedom. Without money, you don't have freedom. That's simple.
Yep.
The second freedom, it's freedom of time. Money allows you to have time to invest in yourself, to recreate yourself, to have vacations, etc. To me, the most important of the 3 is freedom of relationships, right? Where you get to spend time with the people you want to spend time with, right? You're very extremely successful real estate professional, extremely successful. You pick your clients.
Oh, I do.
I know.
I
know.
really do.
Listen, hey, I want to buy a $150,000 property. I don't know, here in Miami. I need you to help me. I'm not your guy.
Yeah, I can't. Sorry.
But right, because you have that freedom of money. But if you don't have that freedom of money, you got to go for the rental for $1,000, right? Yeah. So that's why the freedom of money is so important. So you can go into, and then the fourth one is freedom of purpose. So you do what is this podcast. You say, I'm not doing this podcast for money, but it's just a purpose to communicate what I learn through other people, right?
Yeah. If you're going to work with someone, if you're going to work out there and work with a professional real estate broker, real estate agent like myself, the things that I pick up on from that conversation of freedom is that my relationships that I'm having with my clients are there because I want to have them. I enjoy helping them. And I do. I enjoy calls. People call me and say, hey, I want to help me find a place for my family. I get an enormous amount of satisfaction. We just had a closing last night with a client of mine. He moved here from San Francisco. He's got twins, kids. Marshall, thank you. This is for you. And we helped him find off-market a house for his family. I get a really nice, warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that this is the place that he's going to raise his kids. He's a really good guy. His family is delightful, lovely, good people. And I'm really happy that we managed to make something happen that was hard to make happen. How did it happen? Because I valued his relationship and I wanted to help him. And I'd allow myself the time to focus on something that was important. And if you've got that time, if you're going to hire someone, you need someone with clarity. Once you've got freedom, the mental clarity that you get from that means that you just make better decisions.
Absolutely.
I don't get compromised by running around 7 different directions. And you don't want to work with someone whose motivation is purely financial and they're trying to get the freedom to do what they want. Work with someone who's already established that, because their decision-making process will be that much better for you. So,
and that having that freedom of money allows you to focus on your business. When you don't have that freedom of money, makes you focus on work, which doesn't allow you to grow. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So that's key.
Telemundo.
That's the Telemundo was.
This is fun.
That Telemundo that's
area.
like 14, 15 years ago. It's Univision now for the
Univision,
last
okay.
Maybe 13 years.
So now it's Univision.
Yeah.
Take us through, like, you're going, obviously, for you to be hired by Univision and MasterCard as well.
MasterCard, TurboTax, yeah.
You are a spokesperson.
Yes.
You've recorded 15 commercials. You're out there talking. What is your, if you could sum up what you're communicating with your audience, the audience that you're speaking to. Who is your audience, and where is the value of your communication?
So because of my personal experience going through a very hard financial hardship here in the United States, I can relate to many people coming from other countries, right?
Yeah.
That have a very, very hard time with their money. So my message, whether we're talking about debt, we're talking about credit, we're talking about purchasing a home, we're talking about investments. So we talk about the 3 M's, right? And that's in Spanish, how to make more money, right? How to manage that money and how to multiply it, right? So those are the 3 stages, right?
Yeah.
My message at the end of the day, regardless of the financial topic I'm speaking about, is pay attention to your money. So that was your question. So what's my main message? It's pay attention to your money. There is this negative connotation about money and generally wanting to make more money. And again, another concept from Dan Sullivan, right? Another book that I'm going to ask you to read is Wanting What You Want. Highly recommend that book. All right, it's just a big wanting what do you want more money? Because I want it. What's the problem? Why do you have that car? It's just, because I want it. What do I have to justify it? I want it. I'm sure you want it, but the taboos you have, well, but that's not right to have. Why do you have that big house? Because I want it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want it? No, yeah, at the end, you do want it, right? Maybe you're not willing to work that much or sacrifice other things, and I respect that. So to me, how many times families sit down and talk about money with their kids, with their spouses? Listen, you asked me to show you my income. I would gladly show you. I do it all the time to show income to other people, not to brag, but to inspire people. Got it? So it's the same message. And I love when people put their cars and you guys know I don't do that in Instagram, but not for anything negative. But I love when people talk about their planes and their cars. It's the same message. For some people, they will hate that person showing that, and some other people it will inspire. Same message. So how are you taking that message?
That's the funny thing with the business, the real estate particularly, and I'm just interjecting because the first thing that's popping into my head is the selling sunset, $1 million listing, the whole, the TV,
Right.
the HGTV, the whole I'm living large life and this is how I am. And then there's like, okay, what is the...
Some people, that's what I said. So here's the third cost. First cost, we said it, right? So it's ignorance. The cost of not knowing. So how much is it costing me that course? That's not the right question. The right question is, how much is costing me not to have that course, not to have that knowledge, right? So poor people think about how much is this going to cost me, or I can afford it. Now, people with rich mentality think, how can I get that money? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the second cost is not practicing enough. The third cost is not believing that other people have. And yes, some people fake it. Verify it. If I say I make X amount of money a month, ask me, I'll show you. Verify it. But there are a lot of people that truly have it.
Yeah.
A lot of fakes, but there are some that... So your job is to believe it and identify the people that truly have it and people that want to guide you.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Belief in knowing which direction you're going to take. And you were talking about the cost. I picked up on something that really resonated with me. You were saying it's not the cost of the course, it's what the course will cost me if I don't do it.
Exactly.
I have a similar parallel that I want to draw when people come and say, I think I don't really need the realtor. I'm going to list the home myself.
You can't afford to do that.
And it's like, it's not what it's costing you for the commission.
Right.
It's what it's going to cost you if you don't have good representation, if you don't have someone protecting you, if you don't have someone guiding you and negotiating negotiations negotiating correctly for you, because otherwise you are what we call penny rich and pound foolish. You're counting your pennies,
right,
and you're just setting fire to your $100 bills over in the corner.
You represent buyers and sellers on multi-million-dollar properties.
Yeah.
If you own a house that is $6-7 million, just get it done. A 6% commit. I just don't want to know anything about it. Just you negotiated with my lawyer. Getting a phone call showing my property. If you own a property that large, You don't have time.
There is a good reason.
Thing.
There's a good reason why my $20 million deals, $25, $15 million deals, those guys rarely, and they never negotiate with me at the beginning. ever. If we negotiate, it's right at the end to get the deal done.
The cost of doing them themselves is too big.
They will never negotiate at the beginning. And then I'll get the buyer who'll come to me, and it'll be a $2 million deal. And they're like, well, this guy over here is going to do it for me for a point and a half. I'm like, well, go right ahead. Because, you pay a cut price service, you get a cut price broker.
Exactly.
People will not work for you. They will not deliver, and you will not get the experience and the skill. So be conscious about where you're investing your money in investment in the people that you're investing in.
Right.
Because investing in the right people, as I've surrounded myself by fantastic individuals, and as do you, investing yourself with the right people is key. As you said, the who.
So here's another great concept in finance, right? Personal finance is not the cost of whatever I'm purchasing, it's the cost of not having it. So first thing I tell real estate agents, brand new agents, get their license. All right, tell me. How many days before, not weeks, how many days before you hire or start interviewing your first assistant? I don't have the money. No, you don't have the money not to have an assistant, right? The cost of not having an assistant is way bigger. By the way, it's never a cost. It's a huge and amazing investment to have 2, 3, 5, 10 assistants in your team. So again, always ask yourself not how much it costs not to have it or do it.
Yeah. Right? No, I remember when I started, and you've asked me this question in the past, I got my first assistant. And the year that I got my first assistant, the first couple of years I was scrabbling around and I couldn't afford to do a lot of things. And I basically said, if you do this for me for free, I will pay you when I do my first deal. It was like contra deals. It was like bartering with everybody to help me, for them to buy into me. I was like, don't buy into my business, buy into me. And then obviously I will give you the money. And I have. And then obviously I kept those relationships going because I appreciated them.
Which, by the way, one last thing in terms of that assistant is buying you time to think.
Freedom.
And to
freedom again.
Re-energize yourself. So I see so many real estate professionals, all right, working so hard because they don't have that assistant. So what happens is when they're ready to negotiate a deal, they're exhausted by 5:36 in the afternoon, right? So second thing is, how much time are you devoting just to think? Every single day, 20, 30 minutes just sitting down with a pad and a pen, just thinking. And most of those ideas are not going to be good, but 1 or 2 ideas can change the course of your business.
I say this to my team. So we have a rule in the office, okay? We've applied. It's called the Google rule. Google applied this to their offices. It was the 20% rule. Yeah, right. The 20% rule is you are required to spend 20% of your time coming up with new ideas.
Your new projects.
Your new projects.
Right.
Your like time off. Yeah. I'm giving you the freedom of time to come up with new ideas. Right. All the big ideas that came out of Google Mail and all the other, almost their major pins in their business right now came from that 20% rule.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the thing that I'm very cognizant about with my team, and I say this because we're expanding our team right now. So if you're watching this and you're a realtor and you want to chat with us, we are hiring. I've said to people joining or looking to join groups, you can go out and try and do it yourself, or you can learn from somebody who's already done it. It's much easier to do it the second way. Most importantly,
not the how, the
who. The who. Right. And our working with who, in our case, working with DSG, we really believe that we'll take an agent and we will give them the ability to expand their business. We have the marketing engine. We have all the technology and all the tools. We have all the communication channels wide open and running at full speed. We have the podcast. We have the blogs. We have the videos. We have the softwares. We have all these systems in place, and Google already rank us super high for all of these things. We already have that critical mass. What we do is we just bolt you into that system, and then we build around you. You could do that yourself, but it took me 13 years to get where I am. Yep. You could do that too, but if you want to spend 13 years of your time doing that, go right ahead. Or you can jump in with us and travel that train. As I'm jumping on the train with other people, as I'm jumping on your train, you've given me fantastic information during this chat and I will definitely be going out and buying those books. I'm just wondering if there's anything else that we haven't covered before we wrap this up. Looking through it, if you were to give advice, two pieces of advice right now in the current market for investors out there looking to invest in real estate in South Florida, what would those two pieces of advice be?
Number one, get the advice from people that are actively, like yourself, in the business. Every single and you know all the statistics, you know all the numbers.
Oh, yeah.
It will cost you so much. One wrong decision can cost you so much money and years to recover. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's the advice that I always give in terms of personal finance. Pay attention to your money. If you're a regular Joe out there and struggling with money, pay attention to your money. And the last one that I give at every single talk, intensity. Intensity with everything. You're going to invest in real estate right now, be very, very intense. You will lose more deals for lack of intensity than you will earn because of you're too intense. And some people hate me because I'm very intense, right?
Really?
I'm very and some people love me because I'm very intense.
I think it's great.
And I remember, because everything you've done in your life, great, is because you were so intense. And everything you lack in your life is because of lack of intensity. There's a funny story about my wife and I. I met her right here in Alhambra, and the Globe right there in the light. I stopped her. I blocked her. I got off the car and said, "I like you," and said, "No, I like your car because we had the same car. Give me your phone number." She gave me the wrong phone number, and I said, "This is the wrong phone number." And true story. And then she had to give me the right one. I said, "I'm going to invite you tonight out. I like you." And I don't, I have many friends, and I went to her house. I met the mom. I met the sister. I took her out. We said, we're going to go to dinner. We're going to go to lunch. We're going to go to Miami Beach. We're going to go to the movies. 19 years later, we're still married. Intensity, intensity, intensity.
That's beautiful.
You don't like it? Great. But you got to move 1,000 miles per hour. You want to invest in real estate, get all the advice, the courses, the book, get together with the right people. And, the people that I've seen succeed are extremely intense, and the people that I've seen struggling because of the lack of intensity. I see real estate agents, they're not doing their job. They're not intense. Look at you. You don't have to do a podcast, but you're here on a Friday afternoon. You can be with your wife. You can be in Miami Beach. You can be playing tennis or doing it, but your intensity. Be intense. You will lose more deals because of lack of intensity than because you're too intense.
I agree more. I mean, live your life with passion.
Absolutely.
Just enjoy it. You have one life.
Absolutely.
Get on with it. Orlando, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I want to add in that if you want to know more about Orlando, we're going to put his information below. You run courses all the time. The event in August, is it sold out, or are there still spaces available?
There is still a little bit of space. All the VIP, which is the most expensive ticket, is always sold out within the first 2 weeks. But we still have space. It's a marketing and selling event where we plan for the quarter. So it's in Spanish though, but you're going to speak in English right there. We have many people.
You don't want to hear me talking Spanish. It'll be horrible. No, I'm looking forward to it. I will be there. I'll be talking about...
It'll be my pleasure to have you. And we call it retiro inmobiliario. So real estate retreat.
Perfect. Yeah. And it's going to be
Happy
fun.
To be there.
And we will continue. I mean, this process of education is what this is about. We're on this journey.
Thank you for the invitation.
We have one life. I hope this helps. I hope those watching have appreciated this. If you have more direct questions, shoot me an email. I will share them with Orlando. And thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you again for another David Siddons Group podcast.
There you go, man.